Have you ever stared at a stock chart and just wondered, is there a hidden code in there? A secret language that could tell you what's going to happen next? Well, today we're diving into the work of a man who claimed to have cracked that very code. His name was W.D. Gann, a true market legend who believed he saw mathematical order in all that financial chaos.
He built his entire legendary career around a single, tantalizing question that has obsessed traders for more than a century. Could you actually predict the future of the market with just one chart?
So how did he think he could do it? Well, this right here. This is Gann's 1953 guide to his master mathematical price, time, and trend calculator. He claimed this simple, transparent tool was the key to making quick and accurate predictions. So let's unpack the secrets behind it, using his own words as our guide. Now, his entire complex system really rests on a single, powerful foundation. It's a concept he called the Great Square of 144.
And don't just take my word for it. Gann himself wrote, and I quote, "The square of 144 is the great square and works better than any other square, both for time and price." You can hear the emphasis in his writing. In his mind, this wasn't just some number. It was the number that governed how markets move.
I want you to think of 144 as the DNA of his entire system. Seriously, every calculation, every division of time and price, every predictive angle he ever drew on a chart, it all comes from this one number. It's the absolute keystone that holds the whole thing together.
So you're probably asking, why 144? What's the big deal? Well, for Gann, this number had an almost cosmic significance. First off, it's 12 squared, right? And what do we have 12 of? Months in a year. The physical chart he worked on was exactly 144 square inches. It was even the basis for what he called the Great Cycle. And crucially, you can divide it by 9, the highest single digit, which was absolutely essential for how he broke down his charts.
Okay, so if 144 is the foundation, what's built on top of it? Well, the next layer of his system is what he called the master numbers. And you can think of these as a kind of secret code for navigating the Great Square.
See, Gann believed that a very specific set of numbers, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12, were not random at all. He saw them as having a special vibration, a real significance for dividing up cycles of time and major price swings. It all starts with the number 3. For Gann, its importance came from a simple, elegant fact. It's the first odd number that forms a perfect square. 3 times 3 is 9. It's a foundational geometric building block. Next up, we have 5. Gann saw this one as the balancing number. Why? Because it sits right in the middle of the digits from 1 to 9. It represents a point of equilibrium in the market structure. Then we get to 7, a number he called one of greatest importance. And he had his reasons. He pointed to how often it shows up in the Bible, and of course its obvious role in our weekly and monthly cycles. For Gann, 7 was a number just woven into the very fabric of time itself. The number 9 was also absolutely critical. As the highest single digit, it represented completion, the end of a cycle. Gann literally used it to divide his daily chart into 9 distinct spaces, with each one representing a different phase of the market's action. And finally, the number 12. This one's pretty obvious, right? 12 months in the year, 12 signs of the zodiac. It represents the completion of a major yearly cycle, a rhythm that he was convinced echoed throughout the financial markets. Okay, so we've got the Great Square of 144 as our stage and the master numbers as our key players. So how does this all actually unfold on a chart? Well, this brings us to the blueprint of the system, the incredible interplay of time, price, and angles. All right, get ready for this, because this is probably the most mind-bending part of Gann's entire theory. He treated time and price as if they were basically the same thing, completely interchangeable. A unit of time, say a day or a week, could be directly swapped for a unit of price, like a point or a cent. So, a market rally of 72 points could be perfectly balanced by a time cycle of, you guessed it, 72 days. For Gann, they were truly two sides of the very same coin. Now, to analyze the trend within this wild framework, he focused on 5 key data points you can get from any chart: the high price, the low price, the exact halfway point between them, and of course the opening and closing prices. These 5 factors were the only inputs he needed for his entire system. So what do you do with all that? Well, this is how he would find key turning points, support and resistance. Gann was convinced that trends would stop or even reverse at very specific fractional divisions of that square of 144. So points like 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4 of the way through a 144-day time cycle or a 144-point price move. Those were the spots you had to watch like a hawk. And the final piece of this incredible puzzle was simple geometry. By connecting these important time and price points on a chart, let's say from a major low up to a halfway price point, Gann would draw geometric angles. And for him, the slope of those angles wasn't just some line on a page. It was a predictor of the future strength and the direction of the trend.
Okay, so you might be thinking, how in the world did a trader in the 1950s actually put all of this together? Well, Gann was really clear on this point. His master calculator was supposed to be a map to help you navigate the markets, not some magic crystal ball that did all the work for you. And his instructions were surprisingly direct. You would physically take this transparent calculator and place its 0 point right on your chart, lining it up with a major low point. Or you could do something he called squaring a high, which basically meant creating a box of time and price based on that peak. And from there, the grid on the calculator would, in theory, reveal the likely future levels of support and resistance. But, and this is so important, he left his students with this powerful message. He said, "I have done my part. It is now up to you to work hard, and if you do, your success is assured." This was no get-rich-quick scheme. It was a tool, a deep methodology that demanded study, practice, and a lot of interpretation. And you know, in the end, Gann's whole life's work really forces us to ask a really fundamental question. Is the market just a random walk, a totally chaotic mess of human fear and greed? Or, as Gann spent his entire life trying to prove, is there a hidden order, a mathematical blueprint just waiting there for those with the right map to find it?